Well, if that ain't the hottest, coolest intro you've seen to a Final Fantasy VII Remake first impressions video, I'll eat my own hat. Not that I wear them, well I do occasionally, but you know what I mean. Hey folks, it's me, it's Mr. B, YouTube's MVP and greatest Twitch streamer in the world. And after 7 hours of playing Final Fantasy VII, the remake, I can confidently now tell you my first impressions of the game. Before I get into that, I want you to close your eyes, just for a second, and imagine yourself clicking subscribe and then click all notifications and then basking in the knowledge that you are now an MVP just like me. Straight off the bat, I'm going to answer one question straight away. Is this the greatest game in the world? No, not by a bloody long shot. Does that mean it's a bad game? Holy feck-a-doodle no. It's an amazing game. It just has its bad points, and I've noticed so far. And from streaming for hours and hours and hours online like I did last night on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MrBMVP, I noticed that it's causing a bit of a divide between the Final Fantasy VII lovers. You know what I mean? People who love Final Fantasy VII. And the main aspect I'm feeling is down to the combat. Now for me, I'm someone who has never played Final Fantasy VII. It was a bane of my childhood. All my friends had pissed off into their houses for months on end. Even my female friends had fecked off so I couldn't play football with them or anything. It was a nightmare. All my friends would sit there at school and tell me how amazing and Cloud this and stuff that, and I'd sit there and go, "We all just shut up, please." So I never got to play the game because my parents were cruel bastards, and in doing so ruined me for life. But that meant I could come into the remake with fresh eyes. From what I've seen so far, this game has got several things spot on. And I mean, but the main thing is, the several things he's got spot on are the main aspects of the game, which gives it a good foundation to build on. One of those aspects is the combat system. Now I know that, especially from my chat in the stream last night, there are a few people that don't like it. There are a few people that just want to go back to the original Final Fantasy VII turn-based game. However, because I've come in with fresh eyes and not experienced anything like that before, the combat system to me is flawless. And that's not a word I use often. Flawless. Now let me explain why. At face value, it's a hack and slash. That's what it looks like. It looks like a Devil May Cry type game. However, if you treat it like that, you will be owned. The game will literally chew you up, spit you out, throw you a band-aid and say try again. It's more to it than that. You see, what it is a hack and slash action, tactical, turn-based hybrid. It's a battle system I've never seen before. And it's a battle system that is going to revolutionize JRPGs, RPGs, and all turn-based games. Because if this system is not implemented into other games going forward, I will be shocked. And I'm not just talking Final Fantasy games, I'm talking any game around the RPG sector. ESO, things like that. They will implement this system, I guarantee it. Now then, one of the major things is when you go for a fight, you take a team with you. You're not just Cloud. There are parts where you are just Cloud, but for the most part you have a team. Swapping between your team is seamless. You just press up or down. Using your team's abilities is seamless. You bring up your tactical ability screen by just pressing X, and you can swap between your characters, so you don't have to swap to a character to use their abilities. You can stay as Cloud or as Barret or as any of them, and control somebody else's abilities. It's a tactical system that makes you think about every fight. For instance, let me give you an example. In the stream, there's a side quest, so this is non-spoiler. Don't worry, this whole bloody first impressions is non-spoilers. That's why you've only got the trailer playing behind me. There's a part where I did a side quest where I was taking on 3 rats. 3 little rats. I went in there with all the bravado and braggadocio you could think of. I went in live on stream, Mr. BMVP, meet your death, and I got owned. The reason why I got owned is because A, I wasn't doing as much damage as I thought it would. B, I tried a tactic where I just thought of block and then counter. But every time I blocked, I got done by the other two rats from behind. After 3 or 4 attempts, it dawned on me that they might be susceptible to fire. And it turns out they were. And then once I got that down, it was quickly fire, get them into a specific state called suppressed, hit them as often as I can, then get out as quickly as I can before the other two jumped on me. And it took me 4 or 5 attempts to get that right. That, I tell you, it makes you think. And it's systems like this combat system, as I said before, will revolutionize the genre as a whole. Guarantee it. That's me putting my flag in that right now. One of the other things, apart from the combat system they get right, is the look of the game. My God, I heard online something, it might have been Skill Up, I can't quite remember where I heard it, but I heard that the Square Enix team brought in a team specifically to run the lighting. So their whole job was to light every area. And it shows. Everything looks so immersive, and that is its biggest plus point. You see, what a lot of people forget, a game is entertainment. And an entertainment's role is to make you be able to suspend disbelief. It's to be able to shut your brain down and immerse yourself into its world. And this game does that, again, flawlessly. For everything, I spent half the time just looking up going, damn, that looks fuck. And even people in the chat were the same way. There was one guy in the chat who is a new follower, and thank you very much, Draken, who basically turned around and said, he could imagine himself living in the world, how shit, in fact his exact words were, think how shit it must be to live there. You know, no sunlight or anything. And it's just that one sentence which showed, even from watching my gameplay, he'd been sucked in. And that is any game, I don't care what game it is, greatest achievement. And from that point alone, it's worth 5 points just to its name, just for that fact. Just for the graphics alone. And anyone who knows me knows I'm a graphics whore, and I know a thing or two about graphics. What they've done in this game is a new benchmark. It's not perfect. There are better looking games, or prettier looking games, but there is very few games that allow you to immerse yourself in the way that this does. It is an immersion sponge. A letdown, however, well, no, kind of. I'll tell you, we'll just hold that thought 1 second. Another good point is half, and I'm saying half, of the voice acting. Barrett is brilliant. I spent the whole night calling him Black Diesel. You know, it's like Vin Diesel, but black, you know? But he has a voice like Mr. T. Is it Mr. T? Where I pitied the fool who doesn't like my haircut, you know, like shit. He has this perfect voice, and if I was to give a voice to Barrett, it'd be that. And he's so over the top, and the next minute he's properly somber. But you can gauge that. It's almost like when he's over the top, it feels like a facade he's putting on because he's struggling with things inside. And you can see it from the way he's voice acted. And the same goes for the other characters as well. Wedge sounds, I don't know if it is the dude, but it sounds like Badger from Breaking Bad. But every time I see Wedge now, I just see Badger from Breaking Bad, and it makes me laugh. His running animation is hilarious, but I'll come to that later. So half the voice acting is brilliant. The stuff for the non-main characters, though, you know, like the NPCs, etc., not so good. You know, they could have possibly worked a little harder on that, and it leads me into an area. Sort of the bad areas a bit, where the voice acting is let down, and that's primarily by some of the script. Some of it doesn't make sense at all. It's complete gibberish. I'll give you a for instance. you are supposed to be paid for a job. They haven't got the money for it, so you do a few jobs to get the money, and then the next thing, Barrett comes in and says, I'll pay you money afterwards. Well, I've already just done the jobs. There's continuity issues within the script, which sort of break immersion a bit, and some of the things, I mean, the women, I don't know why there isn't a social justice warrior movement right now. I like that. What is she called? Anita Sarkeesian? I'm surprised she isn't stood on the top of a tower somewhere in a man suit, screaming about how bad women are portrayed in this game. Because my God, I swear right now, all of them have had their lines written by a teenager with a constant erection. Had to be. There's no way a woman would act that way constantly. It's everything they say is either a sexual innuendo or... In fact, no, there's no or. Everything they say is a sexual innuendo. Everything. There isn't a sentence that comes out of their mouth that doesn't have some sort of, was that a dick joke? Or, it's just... It blows my mind how they've got away with it. It's probably because of the game being a Final Fantasy game and everyone loved Final Fantasy. Or daren't attack Final Fantasy because of the shit they would get back from the community. But to me, it felt a little immature. And that's coming from me, the most immature YouTuber on Earth. Or person on Earth. I don't even have to use YouTube as a qualifier, but you know what I mean? So... the script could have been better. Another thing that could be better is the way Cloud moves. He moves a bit like a car without power steering. At speed, or when he's running, or when there's a decent amount of movement, or a little bit of speed in his walk, he's fine. But trying to get little sort of tiny turns, like when you've just got to moving an inch to get to the door to open it, all that sort of thing. You know what I mean. It's terrible. It's so finicky. It's like way oversensitive, if that makes sense. Like way oversensitive. He's not easy to control when he only has to make little adjustments. And the last thing that has drove me mad, and I have to put this in, was some of the... there's no other word for it, game padding. Game padding. There is a scene, now this is a mild spoiler. If you want to hear it, fine, but I won't. I'll do whatever I can to skate around the edge, but it was in my stream last night. You can go and see it. There is a part where to transition from one story to the next, you are left inside a pub. You cannot leave that pub. The only way to transition to the next bit of the story was to play a game of darts, to fuck around with the jukebox, and to go look at a flower. I literally stood, and it doesn't tell you to do that, by the way, it just expects you to realise. So I was stood there, and my whole chat was going, can you seriously not get out? I was like, no, I have been full on Joseph Fritzl, I've been trapped. There's no two ways out of this. I am fucked right now until I work out how to get to the next bit. At first I thought I just had to wait, but no, that weren't happening. And then I saw the triangle come up to interact with the dartboard. I thought, oh, brilliant. And that finally did it, but it was just stupid. It felt at times like Shenmue. Do you remember the old Sega Dreamcast game Shenmue? Where you're a kick-ass fighter and you're made to use a fucking forklift truck to go get boxes. It's that kind of padding, and I hate that in games. It drives me up the wall. There are better things to do than that. And I've seen that once. I've seen it a couple of times with a couple of different examples, but I know I'm going to see it again, and that is the type of padding that shouldn't be in any game, regardless. If they want to put things like mini games in, fine, but it should be your choice to go and play them at any time you wish, not forced to play them to progress the game a bit. I've only ever seen one example of that actually being worthwhile, which was in Uncharted 4, where you play Crash Bandicoot. But only because Crash Bandicoot is fucking awesome, and everyone agrees with that. So like, it's not a game of darts when all's said and done. So yeah, and all in all, look, when I round this all off, because I'm looking at the time going, fuck me, I've been whittling on for 15 minutes. My first impressions are, This is going to be one of the contenders for Game of the Year. It's going to be, but it's not going to win because there are too many so far idiosyncrasies, continuity issues with script, the female acting in general. There are too many issues for it to win, and it's a shame. It's a real shame. I'm told that the game can last between 40 and 50 hours, we'll soon see. But yeah, it could be better so far. I hope by the end of it, all my sort of realizations about the idiosyncrasies and things like that and the continuity issues, I hope all that dissipates and I'm completely wrong by the end of it. But I suspect by the end of this game, I'm going to feel it's going to be about a 7.5 out of 10. That's my feelings. Have you played Final Fantasy VII The Remake yet? Are you going to play? What are you looking forward to the most? What have you enjoyed the most? How far in the game are you? These are all questions you can answer right now in the comments below. If you've got any questions for me, I'll be answering right up until I can be asked to answer, really. I'm the MVP. I'll answer when I damn well want to, because that's just me, Mr. B. And if you want to join my live streams, it's twitch.tv/Mr. B MVP. If you can't spell that, my God, you've got issues. Until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the subscribe in advance. That's all from me, Mr. B, YouTube's MVP and greatest Twitch streamer in the world. Ta-ta for now.